Hello, moviegoers. You are listening to a brand new episode of Never Seen It. My name is Trent. I am sitting here with Betsy.
I mean, I'm sitting independently of you. We're not on the same chair or anything.
No, until we get the Never Seen It couch where we can have it be, this very casual, internet-friendly, we're going to set up a camera and we're just going to have a casual time.
And put our beautiful faces out on the internet.
Until we do that, it's going to be this here table that is covered in a literal tortilla. This is a blanket that is looking like a tortilla, and I kind of love it because it is a circular table and it is a circular blanket.
It helps with the sound.
It's true. It dampens when we put a glass down on the table. But anyway, Betsy.
No, so off topic already.
We are here to watch a movie that is probably going to be nominated for Best Picture next month when the Oscar nominations come out. Full disclosure, we're recording this the same day that the Golden Globe nominations came out. We were already going to do this anyway because we announced it last week. But we figured it's been on everybody's list. We're going to be watching Conclave. So before we get way into this, obviously, this movie is going to cover a semblance of reality, the Catholic Church and the popes and things of that nature. So that being said, we're not here, before we get into all the jokey jokes, we're not here to have judgment on anybody.
We're not poo-pooing religion.
We're not going to do any of that stuff. I might make a lot more jokes about that than most of the time.
Trent, I grew up Catholic.
Betsy,
I'm going to make more jokes about it.
And I hope you do.
No one makes better jokes about Catholicism than the Catholics.
Than Catholics themselves, exactly. So just to put that out there, we're not really trying to insult anybody with this. This is going to be more of a serious kind of a movie, but we got to throw in some levity here.
Also, it's a movie.
It's a movie. It's fake. At least I think it's fake. But Betsy, what do you know about Conclave?
Because you insisted I do this, Catholics! Yeah, this is a movie about the death of a pope. And in the event the pope dies, they have what is called a conclave, where all of the cardinals and the bishops and all the important people in the upper tiers of the Catholic hierarchy get together, lock themselves in a room. It's very secret. Not a lot is known about this procedure, and they elect a new pope. But from the trailer, as I understand it, not everything is that simple. Like maybe the pope died under some suspicious circumstances.
Ooh.
Or perhaps there's somebody in here. I think what this is going to be, Trent, I think this is going to be like a political thriller, which I think is going to get you going.
Betsy, I am coming at this movie as if it is going to be, I am shocked to find out there is politics involved in electing a new pope. Yeah.
And as far as who is in it, I know the star is Ray Fiennes. I know John Lithgow. I know Stanley Tucci. And I know Isabella Rossellini.
Betsy, I'm going to correct you there.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Her name is Isabella Rossellini. Thank you, Conan, for that.
With the hands.
With the hands. You can't see our hands here. So with that, I would also like to apologize to all of the Italians out there. We're also going to be insulting you.
So sorry.
So, no. You said it. You said it wrong. Say it right.
I am so sorry.
I am so sorry. Okay.
Okay, now stop.
Okay.
No
Conclave, do you know anything else about this movie?
I really don't. The only thing I have heard is it's based on a book, and people are really getting down with this movie.
Cool.
In a way that I don't know that they expected people to. I think it's not exactly what people expect it to be. It's not a movie about religion. It's about like the politics of an election.
Exactly. And on its face, it seems like an impossible task. Like, how do you take a concept like electing a new pope, like all the things that happen behind closed doors? It's been a mystery forever. Like, there's hardly any stories, I'm sure, that have come out from the entire process over the centuries.
We will get into that after we watch the movie, because I think that's too long a conversation for the intro.
So, all right, with that, we're going to go and watch Conclave. We will be right back. And welcome back. That was Conclave. Betsy, how are you feeling?
I think that movie is quite good.
I would say so.
Yeah, it definitely is more of a political thriller than anything because you're trying to figure out, oh, what's this mystery? What's that mystery? How do we meet clandestinely in stairwells and work on getting the votes to the people that we need? Who is voting for you and how do we get them to switch their vote?
The thing I came up with while sitting here waiting for us to begin, the entirety of this movie could have been all sorts of different elections. Everywhere from being like the Speaker of the House of Representatives all the way down to Student Council President. It's the same shit. You got factions, you got popularity, you got people buying people off. You got people giving promises. If you do this, then I'll do that. It's people who are ideologues preaching their gospel, as it were, and trying to convince everybody else to come over to their side. But as they always say, it comes down to the least of all the evils, and it's also the devil you don't know. It's that whole thing, too, because everybody else who is politicking back and forth, these are all people that are known to everybody in the room. It's the newcomer that they do one good thing in the presence of everybody else, and it makes them calm down and say, okay, yeah, I can get behind you. I don't like all these other fuckers.
Well, there's so much energy, like stressing people out for a number of days, where it starts simply enough. You go in there, you know who everybody is, you kind of already know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
You cast the first vote, you all go home. And then you come back and you do it again. But then they start picking up the pace where it's like, okay, we don't want to be here for fucking ever.
Yeah, the first vote, you already kind of know it's just testing the waters.
water.
Everybody kind of knows who they have in their back pocket.
And how they want this to go, because there's like the group that wants to move the church into the future and be more liberal and open in the modern world that we live in. There's the other group that wants to take it back to a more conservative church, and they don't like the whole, Vatican Council II and changing things from Latin and progressive thoughts and ideology.
And of the more liberal and progressive groups, there are different degrees of that. And the conservative one, there's really only one guy who is trying to make that happen. So all of these groups have very limited amounts of votes. It's just you eventually have to get people out of the race. And what better way to get somebody out of one of these races than to dig up dirt, to have a controversy? This is political 101.
The only difference being the doors have been locked and it's all just coming out from the inside. So he's not getting a whole lot of information except from one guy, and he has certain privileges, Lawrence. He is leading this conclave, so he is getting tiny bits of information. Otherwise, it's all coming from within the conclave.
Well, and there's also the inkling here of the guy who was kind of crying and confessing, the drunk. He gave Lawrence the information right before they locked the doors to create this doubt, for lack of a better word, in Tremblay. To have this little kernel exist in the back of his mind that, oh shit, I can't have this guy because he might have done something nefarious. He might have done something to the Pope. He might have done something completely disqualifying, and we can't have that.
Trent, right before we started recording this, I had the question for you. Have we actually watched any Stanley Tucci movies? And you said Margin Call. This is Margin Call, where the doors are about to close and he says, be careful, shuts the door, fucks off. And everybody's like, wait, what? What the hell did he mean by that? That's basically what this movie is. That priest shows up literally minutes before they're going to seclude everybody.
Yeah.
They're going to lock the place down. And he says, no, the Pope said this and this. I don't know why I didn't tell you, but I need to tell you now. It's really important.
It's only pieces of information, too. So he also has this assistant. I don't even know what to call him, but he kind of sends him out to try to confirm some information. He talks to one guy who Tremblay says, oh, they were in the room. They'll confirm what happened in there. And the assistant goes there to ask him, and he says, Well, what did you actually see in the room? Was it as Tremblay said, and the guy was a little bit too confident in his response?
He was emphatic. A little too emphatic.
As if he was told to be very emphatic.
And they're just planting these seeds of suspicion of different people. And there's all these moments throughout the movie, like there's a nun. Why did that guy freak out about the nun? Oh, what did that guy mean when he said he was so emphatic? Why are these letters back here with, financial information proving that Tremblay is trying to get everybody out of his way and buy their votes?
Yeah, again, all of this. The entirety of the movie is all political theater. The fact that they're electing a pope here is just the window dressing. It is all of the pomp and circumstance. It is the
mystery,
ceremonial,
and the
everything,
ceremony,
the pageantry, all of the words having to do with the Catholic Church. The fact that it is that just gives it that much more gravitas, and it's a little bit more interesting and titillating in the fact that, all of these men, some of them are bad, even though they're cardinals.
So that was something I actually was really interested in this movie. In any other political kind of movie, you expect that the really bad things that these guys have done are really bad.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that dude ran someone over with his car and they've hidden it for 40 years. He murdered someone on the road, that kind of stuff. Or something really, really disqualifying. Or there's this big turn at the end where someone you thought was gentle and kind turns out to be evil incarnate.
Or fucking ruthless. And there's this fucking wake of blood behind them of all of the people that they have wronged in their life, in their political life anyway.
So that's what you kind of expect from this. But as the story unfolds and you're finding the truth about these guys, none of them are actually really that bad. They maybe made bad decisions. They are all, I think, to a degree at least, sorry for what they have done. The people that get eliminated because they have basically history that would reflect very poorly on the church in the modern era. If this story about them gets out, it signals what is going on in the church. And the church has had plenty of scandals. They do not need another one.
I was just going to say, they are very much conscious here of the fact that the Catholic Church has gone through some big upheaval in the past 20 to 30 years, and they have to take all of that into consideration when it comes to making these decisions. You can't have somebody who has a fucking love child out there, or somebody who has been paying off other cardinals and trying to sabotage the internal debate and vote here. Or when we're talking about Lawrence, the fact that he's already been kind of thinking about quitting. He tried to quit.
Yeah, he's having a crisis of faith, so this could not have come at a worse time for him.
Exactly, and he's possibly going to become the Pope, but by the end, he's really, really considering voting for himself. He's got some confidence behind him because he has backers. Well, that has a tendency to kind of change somebody's mind.
They say it in this movie, and this is very true in real life, that nobody wants to be the Pope.
Nobody should want it.
The ones that tend to get elected do not want to be the Pope. There is a certain level of humility required to take on this job. If you are somebody who is really ambitious, who has a lot of hubris, that's where it spells trouble.
Yeah.
And they state that in this movie. But that is true to life, too. The current Pope, Pope Francis, is very old school. He's a Franciscan. He basically goes out and helps the poor. And he was just this very humble dude, did not want to be the Pope. The other Pope didn't even die. He resigned, which sets up all kinds of other questions.
Right.
And they elected Francis to be the Pope. And you've seen this Pope. He's not like a lot of other popes.
He's like a cool Pope.
He seriously, there are stories about how he would dress in normal priest's clothes when he was a cardinal, and he would go out and give money to the poor. He would sneak out in normal clothing and help the poor. So nobody knew who he was. That's the guy who he was. And he didn't want to be the Pope, and he got elected to be the Pope.
Yeah. I am reminded of again, a very much a political thing, of the miniseries John Adams. And during the Continental Congress, where the Declaration is actually come up with and signed and voted on and everything like that, prior to that, they elect George Washington to be the commander-in-chief of the army that is going to go after the Brits. And George Washington is very humbled by it. I will do this with my utmost duty. I do not accept this because I have any kind of hopes for higher office or anything like that. And the Congress people there say, you show our wisdom by your modesty. That's kind of what I'm getting from this conversation here, where he doesn't actually seek it out, but through his actions, he's the obvious choice.
I do, however, like throughout this movie how they kind of hint at, you say you don't want it, but let's be honest, you've thought about it. It's like how every actor practices their Oscar acceptance speech, or everybody who has ever done anything. If there's some kind of an award or the top job, you've imagined what that would be like for you and how would you act in that moment. In whatever small measure, you cannot help yourself. And even Lawrence, the first time, he gets like a handful of votes. And then it keeps growing. And he says, I don't want it. Everyone stop voting for me. And Stanley Tucci's character, Bellini, says, the fuck you don't. Like, I didn't know you were so ambitious. Like, everybody thinks about this.
Yeah, I don't believe a one word out of your fucking face, man. I thought you were going to go out there and try to really stump for me, but you're accepting these votes. Fuck you, man. You need to, if you're going to go along with this, you need to start stumping for me and telling people to not vote for you, and this is why. But Bellini himself, the Stanley Tucci character, he also says that he doesn't want it, but then he starts to campaign.
When he's losing, when he doesn't actually have the support he thought he was going to have,
Right.
all of a sudden he gets a little butthurt about it, and he's like, well, I guess I'm not going to be the Pope.
Well, and to kind of protect his own self, I guess, he defends his campaigning for it because, we couldn't possibly let this other guy become Pope, so I'm gonna stop him. I'm the only guy who can stop him because the other guy would be so bad. So as we start actually going through the ballot process, we have one to kind of test the waters. We have a second and third immediately, and it's starting to, okay, it's going this direction, it's going that direction, but there's still nothing clear here.
It was also interesting how drastically the vote changed between votes 2 and 3. So vote 1 is day 1, vote 2 is day 2, but then vote 3 is immediately after vote 2.
Right.
And when faced with that quick decision, people were a lot quicker to be like, oh, well, maybe I won't vote for that guy. Let's get this done quick.
Yeah, again, it's more testing the waters to see, okay, well, what's everybody's kind of second choice? And then a lot of people start to go over to this other side, and it's still not clear where the winds are blowing. So again, we've all kind of went through this recently in the House Speaker elections, where again, there's only a few different people who are running here, but somebody has to get the majority. And there's also a faction way off to the side that will never vote for this one person unless there's compromise, unless the guy who under normal circumstances would never be voted for. In this case, what I'm talking about is the John Lithgow character. There's some intrigue with him as to, okay, you were with the Pope when he died. You were the last meeting that he took. There's some reports that we've kind of heard about that maybe you did not have a very good meeting with him and it didn't go very well.
So let me ask you this since we're here. He emphatically denies multiple times that the Pope asked him to resign. And the only other voice that we know about is this Morales guy who we never meet, who is emphatic that that isn't true, but maybe a little too emphatic.
Yep.
You know, there's this whole don't be a liar thing in the Catholic Church. You're not supposed to do that, especially if you're a cardinal.
And to lie amongst a whole lot of other cardinals in the room.
He also says that with that nun that is there, that he did summon her, but it was by the Pope's request.
Correct.
How much is this guy full of shit? basically.
I don't think he's that much full of shit, to be honest.
Do you think he's just lying about the meeting? Because I kind of believe that if the Pope actually knew he was dying, that he set up some dominoes for this to happen. The way they unfold this story.
Yeah, that's a separate conversation. I do believe that the Pope set all of this up. It set up all these dominoes. Yeah, he got all that going because he wanted to have this result. And he knows how all of the political winds are blowing because he already went through it once, I'm sure.
Well, he had to. That's how he got elected.
Well, who knows if it was a unanimous thing immediately or if he had to go through all this shit.
It's very, very rare that it's a first vote thing.
I'm sure.
I don't think it ever happens. But anyway, John Lithgow.
Betsy, I don't know how many popes there have been. I'm guessing it's more than 3.
Upwards of 11.
So, to answer your question, I do believe the second part of it where, yes, he did send for this nun to come along to this conclave. He didn't know why. He just did it.
He did what he was told.
Yeah. I think there's also some half-truths that he is telling about the meeting. And this other guy was probably told, well, you didn't ask me in this way, or you didn't ask me specifically this. So I'm just going to set it up in a way that it makes John Lithgow look very well.
Or like he left the wording open to interpretation.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a lie, but he's not telling the full truth.
So follow-up question. Did the Pope just die? Or do you think something happened to the Pope?
No, I think he died.
You think he just died?
I just think he died.
And it's just a coincidence that it happened on this particular day with this meeting.
I think he knew that he was dying, and he started to put all of these pieces together to make it so that it was a transition that he wanted it to be.
Because the way they set it up at the beginning, like they kind of make you question if maybe the Pope got bumped off, which is why I said it in the intro, because that's how they really set it up in the trailer.
Well, yeah.
And they even give you little bits of that in this movie.
Yeah, I feel like that's the way you make a movie like this, too. Because those are always the questions that come across your mind because, hey, it's a movie and things like that happen in movies.
And he's finding like sketchy shit behind the bed frame and the door is sealed and he breaks in and he's not supposed to be there.
Yeah, and
we're getting the dirt.
There's all this extra like dramatic and thrilling music that is also happening in this movie that is just amping everything up, but it's all very, very mundane things.
In reality, this isn't a very exciting process.
Take the music completely out of this, and this is a fucking boring movie.
It's a bunch of dudes in gowns.
In dresses, talking amongst each other and smoking cigarettes.
Vaping.
Yeah.
And speaking Italian.
Oh, God.
There was not as much vaping in this as I was led to believe, and I'm disappointed by that.
Did you actually say that in the intro? I didn't catch that.
I don't think I did. However, I did hear that was a thing that happened in this movie, and I only caught it once. There were a lot of cigarette butts.
Yeah.
They did show a lot of smokers and things like that.
Well, we don't exactly need to take a smoke break or a vape break, but we do need to take a break now. So we'll be right back after this word from our sponsor.
What's the matter, Billy? You look bored just sitting there clicking that pen.
Well, Becky, I've already listened to this week's episode of Never Seen It, and there's nothing left for me to do. Guess I'll just sit here and click this pen until next Sunday.
Wait, Billy, what if I told you that the Never Seen It crew puts out 4 other shows every month?
4 shows? How do I get those?
It's easy. Just go to patreon.com/neverseenitpod, and for $5 per month, you get access to all their extra content.
Wow, that sounds a whole lot better than clicking this pen.
It sure does, Billy. It sure does.
So, Betsy, in our lifetime, there have only ever been 3 popes.
Correct. John Paul II was the Pope before we were alive. And then he was the Pope all the way till we were in college. And then the second one, Pope Benedict, actually didn't die. He just was very, very old, so he resigned. which is why there were two popes living simultaneously.
And why they made that movie.
I was joking before we started. I was like, well, dang, we should have just done a whole series of like movies about the Pope. And I thought of 3. And I'm sure if I sat long enough, I could find more.
Betsy, I don't think our audience is really going to be appreciative of us doing a whole bunch of, I don't even know what you would call that.
Pope stuff.
Popathon. Popathon 2024. God damn it. Oh, God. Okay, so Betsy, you're Catholic. You were raised Catholic. You went to Catholic school all the way until you graduated high school.
I know something about Catholicism.
You do. I don't, however. I went to public school. I never went to church. We could go into an entire thing about my history and your history with religion and everything else.
There's no Catholics in your family, though.
We don't have time to get into any of that right now. If you want to hear us talk about such a thing, go to Patreon and listen to the Dogma episode. We talk all about it. But that all being said, you listening to all of these people talk, you hearing all of the terminology and the way all of this is done, there wasn't really a lot of stuff that I didn't understand or get, but you were steeped in a lot of this stuff up until you were out of high school, and then the Pope dies while we're both in college, so it's kind of fresh in your mind. So do you remember like what was going on back then? Did you have conversations with your family when that happened? Like, was it a huge deal in your world?
I definitely was aware and paying attention when the Pope died, because when we're going through school, like they talk about the Pope and they teach you like the structure and like he's in charge. And then there's this College of Cardinals and you kind of get a sense of like the hierarchy. But you don't actually know the in and outs, the inner workings of a conclave and how that works.
By design, I'm sure.
And in my mother's lifetime, in my parents' lifetime, there's only been, I think, before that era, like 3. But that's because John Paul II only got elected because the Pope that got elected before him died like very, very soon after he was elected. It was an extremely short papacy. So there was like a really long one from when they were like growing up.
That doesn't count.
They were growing up. And then there was another Pope. He died very shortly after. And then John Paul II was the Pope for like 30 some years.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm sure even you, who wasn't in the church, but you paid attention to television, you knew about John Paul II.
Absolutely.
So there's this figurehead, this idea of a person that you've been told about every day of your entire life. And then I get to college and he died. And we knew he was extremely old. He was like 80 years old or something.
Sure.
And I'm in the middle of my sophomore year of college, and I would be like logging in to figure like online to see they're doing a conclave. How does this work?
What's the vote count?
What's the vote? Because I think in this movie, we know enough about the how it works that this is probably pretty accurate. Like there were things I knew, like it's all done in secret. They send up black smoke when they don't elect a pope. When they finally elect a pope, they burn white smoke.
Is it actually done in the Sistine Chapel like it's depicted here?
I have absolutely no idea. I don't know the wheres and the whens and all of that. I know it's like X number of days after the pope has died. But the thing that is secret about it is nobody knows who is actually voting for who. I think that's the stuff that we're never going to know about. Like, how close did we come to that person being the Pope versus this person who ended up being elected?
Yeah, and I'm really curious about, like, when because this is based on a book. I don't know when the book was written. I don't know if there are people in the book that maybe these characters are based on real people, or these popes are based on real people, or certain events that have happened throughout history. I really don't know.
I doubt it. I think if anything, they're just kind of archetypes, because I'd be willing to bet that most popes don't know they're dying and set up dominoes to get their successor planted in place.
Yeah.
and plant the seeds of doubt to make sure the people you do not want to get elected, that they get taken out of the race. Like the fact that the Pope had this much forethought, he had enough time to plan before he died.
He's also a very old man who is dying and sick and everything like that.
But he had time to make a plan.
I mean, really, what does he do? But I also don't think that there are like popes waiting in the wings like the Stanley Tucci character who would be there waiting to just flip over the table and say, okay, fuck all that old shit. Gays are okay. Women in the priesthood, women cardinals, women popes, everything under the sun that Catholics say are bad. Well, now it's okay. No more 10 children families, you know?
That was a dark time in the church, and we don't need to go back to that.
Right.
Yeah, he is the ultra progressive voice. And he says, if you want me to do this, this is where I stand on this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
And let's not say anything about women. No, say it, because I want them to know what they are getting. And if they still want me, that's what they're going to get.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want it, which is why he's being very upfront, like, okay, but this is how I feel.
This is what you want. This is what you're getting.
And then on the opposite end, you've got this Tedesco guy who's the Italian, like the hardened conservative that thinks that the Vatican Council II, which nixed a lot of things in the Catholic Church, that was the great reformation of the 20th century.
Yeah, it was the church opening up everything to say, okay, we are living in modern times. We don't need to hold on to all of this old shit that people are saying is just hokey.
They're rejecting it, so let's modernize to try to get people to stay with us.
Stop with the fucking Latin all the time. It is a dead language.
But you've got this guy who says that was all a mistake, and look at all the ways the world has gone to shit since we got rid of Latin.
Exactly.
So I'm going to bring back Latin, and I'm going to bring back... And there is an interesting correlation happening here where you take it out of the conclave and you apply it to modern politics, just any politics. There's always these two voices. There's the ultra-liberal trying to move things into the future.
Very quickly.
And the ultra-conservative trying to drag things back to the past. Not just stop it from moving, but actually bring it backwards.
Exactly, which is why, yes, those are the kinds of people who get the attention, but not necessarily all the votes. And then we bring in this guy.
He's a secret cardinal.
He is a secret cardinal. He was appointed his position by the dead pope in secret because he was serving in Kabul, Afghanistan, which, being a cardinal in Afghanistan during the time in which he was serving, that's a dangerous thing.
Being a Catholic at all.
Right.
And being a missionary.
Yeah,
all of those
any
things.
kind, yeah.
So you get it, but he's got the right paperwork. It all seems legit.
Right.
He gets there before they close the doors. They have to
gotta
let him in.
Which is something that Betsy and I actually saw when we were doing some reading here before we sat down here. In actual Catholic law, if a cardinal is selected by the Pope in secret and the Pope dies, that position is actually revoked because it was only done in secret by that Pope.
It's null and void.
Yeah. So in this movie, apparently, I didn't catch where they said it, but somewhere, well, maybe not in the movie, but maybe in the novel, somewhere the author said, oh, by the way, we changed the law about that, so no worry about that law.
So at least they looked into the research, because that's kind of one of those obscure laws. But if you are a student of Catholic theology, you'd probably catch that. You'd clock it and go, this movie doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So he kind of shows up out of nowhere and doesn't really say a whole lot. He is kind of a meek and mild-mannered guy. He talks with the Ray Fiennes character quite a bit, and he seems like a really cool guy, and he's seen some shit because of where he's been stationed and everything like that.
He's also like the real deal. He's just very, the term they would use is Christ-like. He's just very chill about everybody. He's paying attention to those around him. He's just out there admiring the turtles in the pond.
Yeah, and he doesn't really get into all of the politicking because he doesn't know anybody and nobody knows him because he's kind of new to the entire thing. He's never been there before.
This is his first one, and he says, and I suspect my last.
Right. So he's just kind of hanging out in the background here. And we finally get to the conclusion of the movie where Lawrence finally decides, okay, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to vote for myself, and the momentum is behind me. I can really win this thing. And then a fucking bomb goes off.
Literally, there are a couple of moments like that in this movie where somebody's about to cast a vote and it times out exactly with something ominous happening.
Right. The first time it was kind of away from the building and you could see some rumblings here and there.
There was the ground shook.
Yeah. But in this case, it was right next door. It actually blew out a window.
And if that, as a man of faith, you do not interpret as a sign from God,
Yeah.
I don't know what will shake your foundations, quite literally.
Yeah, there are moments here where he is just looking up at the artwork of the chapel and trying to get some kind of divine message. And I think he got it.
And that's sort of the thing that really kicks these guys all into gear.
Yeah, this is where the really conservative guy says, all those motherfuckers who are out there trying to kill us, and all you liberals inside who are trying to placate them, well, this is fucking war. They're trying to kill us. God damn it, we need to have a holy war. And I don't want to get on some kind of list out there by me talking into a microphone about that.
Yeah, there's a religious war. We tolerate them and they don't tolerate us. So this is some nonsense. Vote for me. Let's go.
Right. And it's these two dynamics of the really, really loud people, and in this case, the conservative guy being the most loud, and the liberals there are trying to like shout him down, but they have no argument against what he's saying as far as, well, yeah, there are people out there who would like us to not exist. But really the voice that everybody listens to and isn't dismissive of is Benitez, the guy from Kabul, the guy who's actually from Mexico.
Who spent time in the Congo. He's been around the world preaching.
Yeah, war-torn areas, very much in danger. And he says, dude, you want to talk about war? I have seen it up close. You do not want any part of this. You've been stuck in whatever Roman church for however many years. You haven't seen shit.
You haven't seen the world and what it's really like because you're in your own little bubble, stuck in your ways.
Yep.
And let me tell you, that's not how we're going to get things done. People need to look at us about what we're going to do next. The church is all about, what do we do now? What do we do next? Where are we going to push this forward to?
Yeah. And he doesn't have all of these ideals in his mind. He has what the church actually represents, what it should represent anyway.
And he's so calm and quiet and literally in the middle, Trent. If you didn't notice, they are set up position-wise on the screen, left, right, and center. And this guy is smack in the middle of the theater with no one around him. It's like, well, of course.
Yeah, of course. And at that point, you know what the movie is going to be. But you don't.
Because I was genuinely at this point of the movie expecting that he's a fucking nut job or something. Because why was he made a cardinal in secret? Why does nobody know this person? He's a stranger.
He shows up out of fucking nowhere. Nobody knows who he is. Yeah, he's got some paperwork here, but that doesn't mean shit.
All we know from the private secretary is he was going to go to Geneva to a hospital. But then we don't get the whole story because there's no time to give us the whole story.
Right.
And he didn't think much of it because he never figured this guy would get elected the Pope. Because who would elect this guy that no one's ever heard of?
Right. Why would you need to get the entire dossier of this guy who is very mild-mannered, who got one vote in the first thing because people thought, hey, he voted for himself.
Yeah, we don't vet these guys the way we do like Secretary of State and things like this. It is
Oh, don't get me started on that.
It is a small group of people who all know each other, who vote for each other.
Yeah.
That's why they exist. They're pre-set up to be able to make these decisions. They already know who they would like.
Yeah, and because this guy makes a very impressive speech, and, you know, if I was in that room, I would vote for him too. Honestly.
And they even say multiple times, like, we cannot keep voting because if we keep having this long, drawn-out conclave Everybody out there is going to know we're in disarray. Remember a couple of years ago, Trent, you touched on it, the fucking Speaker of the House, how many times they had to vote for that?
And how embarrassing
It was
is.
ridiculous. They set a fucking record and then broke it like 3 times for the amount of times they had to vote to get to an agreement. So in this movie, that's the kind of shit they're trying to avoid. They are trying to come to a conclusion, get there quickly, and get to a satisfactory answer. They know the people who will be dangerous as Pope, but even they say no Pope that we have ever had has had a clean record. They've never had just squeaky clean anything.
Everybody says, hey, we're all fallible. We're all human here. It just is what it is. And Stanley Tucci goes down a litany of all the popes who were involved in some really horrid shit.
Literally, Pope Benedict, the big thing about him was he was in the Hitler Youth.
Yeah.
It's not that he necessarily signed up on his own, because you kind of had to be in the Hitler Youth when he was a kid.
True.
Maybe he was a very enthusiastic youth of Hitler. I don't know. But they elected him. Why? Because he is a man who is capable of change. They preach that a lot throughout this movie. Like, we are fallible. We are all humans and we make mistakes. It's what we do with those mistakes. Like, show forgiveness and humility, and can we advance beyond it? But they're also talking about it's more than just the man. It is the church. And these things all need to align so that the global community of faith can go together in a certain direction.
At the same time, you're also, as an organization, trying to stop the bleeding of your members, because the population of the Catholic Church is going way, way down. So what do? You try to get young people in there. You try to get conversions from other religions and whatever the hell the fucking Catholic Church does to get new members. You don't do that by fire and brimstone. You don't do that with huge, huge changes. You do that with the simple message.
And that's what they're trying to figure out. And what we get in all these different people represented on screen, like all the different people who are wanting the job.
Yes.
How, like, their problems, the things that would make them bad popes, but also the things that would make them good at this job. And then this humble little guy who no one's ever heard of gets elected. And the movie's not over, so I was waiting for the turn. I was waiting for something to happen to really, like, put a pin in this.
Well, and even before we get to the very, very ending here, where they're all clapping for him, and Ray Fiennes goes up to him and asks, do you accept the papacy and everything else? He has to ask him twice.
That's 2 movies in a row.
I really, really wanted him to say no and them having to go back to the drawing board. That's what I wanted to happen as a movie watcher.
Trent, as a movie watcher, there's literally a cool breeze that rolls in and birds singing before they cast the vote for who will be the Pope.
Peaceful person. That's what you really want. But Betsy, there is a lot more to this that we need to talk about. And that's what the big revelation here is, because it couldn't just be this political back and forth, this tug of war to try to get votes in order to become the most popular person in the goddamn world, which is true. It just is.
We also have a mystery that needs to be solved. Why this person? Why did the Pope pick them? Why are they here?
Betsy, this person is very unique. And in the world of Conclave, no one will know. There's really only 2 people who know that are living, because I fully believe that Ray Fiennes will not say anything here.
What purpose would it serve? Like, telling the world this doesn't help anybody, doesn't really even hurt anybody. It's just a thing that people don't understand.
Well, assuming that he goes through with what he said he was going to do and leave. Maybe he's not going to leave the church, but he'll renounce his cardinal post, or whatever the terminology is for that.
He'll resign his position and go to a smaller place and just be in, like, quiet, solitary.
He'll retire, whatever.
Yeah.
But if he were to say something like that after he leaves, he would be labeled as this crazed person who shouldn't have been anywhere near the Pope and everything like that because, again, the Pope is infallible. There's nothing wrong with the Pope. Never could be anything wrong with the Pope. But Betsy, the thing that we're dancing around here, and I kind of couldn't believe it when I heard it, but then the more that they started talking about it, the more, oh, that kind of makes sense.
Symbolically, for what they've been talking about the whole movie,
yeah,
it's like the perfect little puzzle piece, the last thing.
Yeah. Again, what we're just going to say it here. This man is what they call intersex. It's not, and people might come at this movie and start labeling it as, it's pro-trans or anything having to do with trans. It's not that. It's just not that. This man was born with male and female organs and parts. It just happens sometimes. And he was born in a place where he didn't have a whole lot of money to go and see a doctor all the time. And it wasn't until he was in his 30s to go and have his appendix removed that the doctor got in there and found a uterus and ovaries. And up until that point, he would have had no inkling that there was anything wrong with him.
Or different or unusual.
Whatever. It doesn't affect his daily life. No one really needs to know. He's a priest, so he's not shacking up with ladies left and right.
The Pope knew.
Yeah.
He could have, once he found this out, left. He could have resigned. But the Pope recognized that what this priest was doing was good work and actually promoted him to the status of cardinal because the work he was doing was important and good. Because this is an individual where you're just born like this. You are literally born with multiple things. It's something that happens to the fetus. Things get mixed up. Both things come out.
Things start growing in there that aren't really hooked up to anything.
Yeah, it's, biology. It's unusual. It's rare. But it does happen. These people exist in the world. And of course, the big question here is the Pope is supposed to be a man. And so that's the big question mark that Ray Fiennes' character is kind of left with, like, well, what does that mean? What does that mean for the traditions and the history of the church as a whole?
He is almost like taking it upon himself to interrogate him, saying, what is going on with you? I can't have you going out there and being the Pope
without knowing the whole story.
Without knowing everything here, because I need to know.
Yeah, the procedure that was recommended was a hysterectomy.
Yeah.
And that's the word that went, wait, sorry, what?
Yeah, I had to repeat it to you a couple of times. A laparoscopic hysterectomy, which is to say, go in and remove the uterus and ovaries.
And my brain knows what a hysterectomy is, but in this context, it was very strange, so it wasn't clicking for me right away.
Right. And the conversation turns into Benitez turning Lawrence's words back on him when they started this entire endeavor, and he makes this speech. What is it called? A homily?
Yes.
He warns people that, okay, guys, you may think that you know what's going to happen here in this conclave. You don't. You may think that you are inevitable to become the next pope. You're not. There are infinite amount of things that can happen between now and when we elect a new pope. Certainty is your enemy. You are not certain about anything, and you shouldn't be certain about everything.
Because if we were certain, we wouldn't need faith.
Yeah, it is a commentary here about faith. If you are certain about everything in your life, about God, about religion, about your place in the world, you shouldn't be. You should have some doubt, because without doubt, there can be no faith.
And without faith, why are we here?
Exactly. So he turns that sentiment back on him.
Benitez does,
yeah. And he basically says, I am in the perfect position between certainty and doubt. I am both man and woman. I am both and nothing. I can be this vessel for this church.
And a vessel for God. That's why the Pope is there. The Pope is supposed to be the head of the church who speaks directly for everybody else.
To everybody, exactly. For men, for women, for everybody.
So there's a lot of themes in this movie about extremism on both sides. Religious and other.
Yeah.
There is a lot of tradition and understanding and faith and crisis of faith. Like when the people who are literally up at the tippy top, including the Pope, like literally Aldo says, the Pope himself told me he wasn't so sure about the church anymore.
Right. He wasn't like doubting God or anything. He's just, man, I'm losing faith in the church. And who the hell knows how long he was the Pope, and you're a part of anything and you start to lose some faith in it. So yeah, I think it is a fantastic message here. And again, this is separate and apart from any kind of religion or the Catholic Church or anything. It is just, you should be a lot more introspective. Think about where you're coming from. Think about where other people are coming from. And don't be so certain that you are correct.
Don't be certain about anything.
Yeah.
Like that message that he gives is not just about faith in what they're doing. It is a very broad message.
Yeah,
you should know enough to know you know nothing at all.
Exactly. Allow yourself to learn. Allow yourself to be wrong sometimes, make mistakes, and learn from those mistakes. Because if you are certain about your political beliefs, that they are always correct, well then, man, I don't know what to say to you. Because you can't have a conversation with anybody else who isn't exactly how you are. You can't even have conversations with people more extreme than you, because even they're wrong.
They're even addressing that in this movie, where all the Italians sit at a table together and all the Hispanic guys sit at a table.
All the factions of people who self-segregate into different language groups, which again, it's a natural thing, but you have to be aware of that and realize that you are limiting yourself as to who you're listening to and talking to.
And they're all supposed to be working together to come to this conclusion, which is why it's not until one quiet guy who doesn't have a group gets up, gives an impassioned speech, that everybody all of a sudden is just like, I've heard what God wants me to do, and here we go. Because they need a 2/3 majority, and we don't hear the vote. The final vote is like obscure. You kind of catch
you don't get to know
a name here and there. But we don't know what the final numbers were. All we know is that at least 2/3 of it went to Benitez, and he's going to be the new Pope.
Yeah.
And the name he chooses, because that's the first question other than, do you accept, is what would you like to be called? And he chooses the name Innocent. And there have been popes called Pope Innocent before.
There have been 13 other ones, and the most recent one was back in the 1700s.
It's not a new name, certainly. It's not something that they've used recently. But like I said, there's not been a lot of popes in my lifetime, in our parents' lifetime. If they're elected fairly young, they could be the Pope for 20, 30, 40 years.
Right. So that's Conclave. I mean, I don't know how else to really cover this movie, because you have to talk about all this stuff. You have to talk about the divisions of people and different factions and countries and language and just all of our divisions. But you have to also remind yourself of all of the things that bring us together.
Yeah, it's a movie about religion that isn't about religion. It's about a lot of things.
Yeah, and I think that's what really stands out to me. So, that being said, we need to talk about fucking Oscars here, because that's why we're doing this. If we haven't mentioned it already, the reason why we're covering Conclave is because we're guessing, hey, it's going to get nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars, and we always cover all of the Best Picture Oscar nominees. So that all being said, Betsy, where do you think we're falling here as far as nominations? Best Picture, I think, is a pretty good shoe-in here. What about acting and all of the other technical stuff?
So Ralph Fiennes, Best Actor, he's been very much at the forefront of the conversation. He's very, very good in this. Like that scene where he goes into the Pope's apartments, where he breaks the seal and he goes in. He is very emotional in that moment. Like he is just on the bed, full body sobbing because of the pressures of what he is doing. And I think at this point, he kind of knows that there's a possibility it could be him.
Yeah, it's a lot of different things
a lot
that
of
he's feeling there, because also he's brought in middle of the night the very first shot of the movie is him kind of sprinting to try to get to work, because his work is, hey, we need to handle this situation, as best as we possibly can. And he knows that he's the person to manage the conclave.
Yep. Quietly and quickly.
He hasn't had time to even reflect on, oh, the Pope is dead. I like this guy. I love this guy. He was my friend. Whatever assignment you want to put on that. He hasn't had any time to grieve either. And he's in this room by himself. No one is going to disturb him. And he sees something that maybe is very iconic of the man. And he's reminded of that, and he breaks down.
You're right. He kind of has to kick it into gear, and the last
Immediately.
the last 3 weeks have just been planning his replacement.
Yeah, he's been pulled in 15 different directions at once, and we got so many people trying to get his attention.
Meanwhile, he's already on the cusp of giving it all up and walking away.
He wanted to leave.
So he does a lot in this movie, and he is a very, very good actor. We'll see what the lineup ends up being, what his chances are. I think he's probably going to be in the top half.
I think you're right.
Just
I
based
think
on
he's
what
got
I'm hearing.
He's got a really good chance of absolutely getting the nomination. And depending on what the rest of the field looks like, yeah, we'll see.
Another person who's been getting a lot of recognition for this is Isabella Rossellini for Best Supporting Actress.
Yeah, I mean, she does a few things here. I don't know if it's going to merit an Oscar nomination, but again, people have been nominated for less. She's very much up there in age, and she's been doing this for a very, very long time.
She's the veteran actress.
Yeah, and, I don't necessarily like when the Academy does stuff like this.
She's never been nominated.
So
I was looking into
what?
it.
I don't care about that shit. It needs to be for merit and nothing else.
But they care about that shit, Trent.
I don't.
I don't say it's the right way to go. There are worse things to be nominated for.
I agree. She's fine in this. I got nothing against her. It's just a matter of, hey, this is an Oscar thing, and we need to consider it very heavily.
Yeah. So then other stuff will probably be maybe directing, adapted screenplay.
I mean, we're skipping over Stanley Tucci here. I think he's got a good chance of supporting.
Oh, you think so?
I think so.
Did he get nominated for a Golden Globe?
I think he did.
Sometimes when the nominations come out, I get really focused on a few things and then I don't look at the whole spectrum and I miss some stuff like that.
Yeah, and they're also not the be-all and end-all. I mean, we already know what the problems are with the Golden Globes, and we won't get into those here, But
yeah, I would love if Stanley Tucci got nominated. Nominate him for all the awards all the time because he's great.
What else? I interrupted you. We were talking about director. I would say directing is probably good. Screenplay is way up there for me because, hey, we always say it. I love a good talkie, and this is the talkiest movie I've watched all year.
That and, I don't know. Maybe
sound. I mean, maybe even music, because good God, does that really accentuate a lot of these scenes?
Yeah, score, cinematography, art direction,
costumes.
See, costumes are tricky because, yes, you are definitely making
It's accurate.
them.
You're making a whole lot of Pope outfits.
They are
cardinal
accurate.
outfits.
However, is it enough? Like, I think that one will depend very much on what else is going on.
I'm kidding.
But listen, it's not that weird. I don't think it would be that weird because if they truly designed all these and didn't just, go to the Pope store and pick up some hats and stuff.
They do have a lot of those hats.
They do have a lot of hats for these cardinals.
Oh my
and they have
God.
multiple versions. They have like the really tall hat, and then they have the little square hat, and then they have the little beanie.
This is where the joking about the Catholic Church comes in, guys.
I am shocked that it has taken this long into the episode and you have not once said they've elected a new pope. The new pope is weird. Because you and I love that stupid Euro trip movie where they don't really elect a new pope. It's weird.
No. No, I thought you were going to say the thing I always say. I don't know why I say this, but I say this stupid line, I am at the Pope.
We haven't had an Italian pope in a while.
He says it like 40 years there hasn't been an Italian Pope.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
But yeah, the awards
yeah.
conversation, I think it's probably going to get nominated for a fair amount. I think some of those more technical things, like the director category, is pretty packed this year, weirdly. So I don't know about that one. I don't know about the score, if this score does enough. It's definitely good. Like, the movie starts with that, like, ominous, like, booming sound.
Yeah, I was very much feeling the sound in this. But, man, I really like this movie. I would say this is one of these that I could definitely sit down and watch again.
Oh, yeah.
Because of all of the intrigue and the dialogue and just the acting is so well done here. And now that I know, maybe I can pick up on some of the clues that are maybe left in there. I don't know.
This is a Trent movie.
It
Weirdly, on the surface, it doesn't sound like one.
Catholic Pope electing movie, but it's political intrigue, and that's my shit.
And it's dialogue driven, which is also your shit.
Very much so. All right. That is going to do it for Conclave. Betsy, did you know that we have an email address?
I was aware of it. I don't know if the listeners know, though, so you should tell them.
I'm going to tell them. It is neverseenitpod@gmail.com. If you would like to, we would very much encourage you. Email us your thoughts about Conclave, about all the actors in this movie. How much do you love Stanley Tucci? That's what I would like to know.
I would just like the Tucci gang to send us a shitload of emails
Tucci
about
gang
Stanley
assemble.
Tucci. Rise up.
God damn it.
Rise up, Tucci gang. You could also send us emails about Oscar predictions. What other movies that we haven't talked about yet do you think we should talk about?
We are deep into the conversations here, and by the end of this episode, you're going to figure out what we're maybe going to be doing in the future. Just stay tuned for that. But I'm going to read an email here from a very long time listener, Sergio. Sergio, you're my homie. I'm so glad that you're with us all this time. You are one of our original listeners and emailers from way, way back in the day.
I don't know how you found us,
I don't know
but we're
how
glad
you found
you're
us,
here.
man. Sergio is from the Netherlands, and it's fantastic that you're still here, man. But I'm going to read your email. I'm so happy to do it. He says, now you're thinking with portals, okay? Stay with me on this. Sergio says, hello, Betsy and Trent. You should definitely watch The Island. By the way, this is a response about Blade Runner.
I mentioned the movie The Island in that episode.
You mentioned the movie you mentioned The Island in our Blade Runner episode, which people have been telling us, hey, we should watch The Island. And this is Sergio telling us that. You should definitely watch The Island, not to confuse it with any other movies with the same title, and perhaps have a drinking game to go along with it, in which you have a shot of cheap brandy whenever you see a Michael Bay trope. It's one of my guilty pleasures. That movie, The Island, was an inspiration for the popular video game Portal, and its sequel Portal 2, which had a special spot within nerd culture ever since. I have played the first Portal. I haven't played Portal 2 yet. It's on my pile of shame that I haven't actually played.
I also am unfamiliar with the connection, the leap between The Island and Portal, but there are stranger things in the world, so I'm going to have to check on that.
We're going to have to watch The Island, and then you're going to have to watch me play Portal, because Portal is actually a very short game. It's likely the same length as a movie.
But the cake is a lie.
The cake is a lie. Thank you, Betsy. And Sergio also mentions, just as an aside, check the movie controversies and lawsuit on Wikipedia. Also check the Rotten Tomatoes score for the movie and compare it to that of the Portal games.
Oh, interesting. Okay, now you've piqued my interest.
Yeah, he says, I hope you will enjoy it as much as I do whenever I do a rewatch to see a 21-year-old Natasha Romanoff with a 34-year-old Obi-Wan Kenobi trying to figure out where Neelix went. I don't know what Neelix is, but okay. He says, it is fun fare for the sci-fi nerds. Best regards from Sergio. Well, thank you very much, Sergio. And by the way, I had to really kind of hop around Sergio's email in here to go around all of his stage direction, because he included a whole bunch of like stage direction as like a Michael Bay movie would.
Michael Bay explosions, zoom,
and
dubs,
then
I don't know.
And then a bigger explosion and things like that. So Thank you for that, Sergio. We appreciate every time you email us.
I mean, that is an enthusiastic vote to watch a ridiculous movie. So we might have to just put that on the list somewhere.
We might have to find a place for the island. So thank you for the recommendation, Sergio. Email us again. We miss you, man. But if you, dear listener, who are not named Sergio, would like to email us, you too can be one of our favorite people in the world. Email us, neverseenitpod@gmail.com. We also have all sorts of different social media stuff. Start following us on Blue Sky. We're just Never Seen It on Blue Sky. How the fuck did we do that?
Early bird gets the worm, Trent.
That's right. Of course, Instagram, all the links and everything else is in every episode description. Click on those on your phone. It'll bring us to the page, and you can just hit the follow on there. You don't even have to do anything. Just follow us on there, and we'll infect your feed with all of our nonsense. Of course, if you would like even more nonsense from your favorite podcasters, that's me and that's Betsy. Go over to patreon.com/neverseenitpod, where, holy shit, we have almost an entire year's worth of extra content over there at your fingertips for an extra $5 a month over what you're paying for this podcast, which is fucking nothing. We're giving it to you for free. But Patreon stuff, that's extra. All sorts of different fun shows over there. Or even this month, we are putting out a celebration of Patreon. Every single Wednesday, we're putting up an extra clip. You can check out some of the samples that we're providing for you. So again, check us out, patreon.com/neverseenitpod. With that, I'm going to say that is the end of Conclave. Betsy, we did kind of an experiment this week on our social media pages where we put up a poll. And we asked our followers what we should maybe be doing next week. This is the first time, I mean, it's not the first time we put up a poll about what we should do, but this is the first time we're actually going to listen to you guys.
This is the first time we're putting our money where our mouth is.
Yeah.
Because I asked you, you said, I put up a poll. I said, what are you going to do with that poll? I don't know. I wanted to talk to you about that.
So here we go.
So we've decided that we're going to watch the movie that everybody voted the most for.
I put up, hey, these are 4 movies that are getting buzz now that the Golden Globe nominations are out there. We're already trying to get into some Oscar prediction stuff. Why don't we just put out a poll and ask the people, what do you think is going to get nominated? What should we watch? And the overwhelming majority of you guys want us to watch The Substance, so I guess we're watching The Substance next week. So come back for that. Until next week, my name is Trent.
My name is Betsy.
We'll catch you on The Substance episode.
Bye.